Danielle Pastin.
Hello.
Very good to see you.
Oh, it's so wonderful to see you.
Oh, cheers right off
Yes,
the bat.
cheers.
What do you think?
I just got out of rehearsals.
Rehearsing for Cosi fan tutte. Did I pronounce this right?
Cosi fan tutte, yes.
Okay, I think that is a dessert that I had once in an
it sounds
Italian
delicious.
restaurant.
And like tossed with some pasta, I think, maybe.
Now, this is one of the classics that I am actually a little unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
Whom are you playing in this?
Oh, well, my character is Fiordaligi, and her sister is Dorabella. So these two sisters are engaged to two delightful young men, Guglielmo and Ferrando, and you have to say it with the and so they're engaged to these two delightful men, and then through some kind of conniving from this older gentleman named Don Alfonso, he convinces the men that the girls can be very easily convinced to cheat on their men.
Romantic comedy? Rom-com?
Yeah, I would say romantic comedy. Yeah, I would say it's a bit slapstick in some in some moments too, which is delightful because typically as a lyric soprano, things rarely go well for me on stage.
Really?
And in this opera, I'm not dying at the end.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I get to live.
That really must be something, because I know
It is.
that there's a lot of dying in classic
I do
opera.
a lot of dying.
What was your favorite death scene that you've had thus far in your career?
I just got back from Nashville Opera, debuting Liu for the first time, and that is a fun death. So because you do it to yourself, you're not withering away to nothing.
Oh,
this is
so you've got control.
Death.
You die on your own terms.
That's
damn
right.
it.
If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die on my own terms. My parents were born and raised in Pittsburgh, actually McKees Rocks. They left when they were 18. And that was at that point that my father had joined the Navy and went to boot camp. They eloped. They've been together ever since. I don't know how they did it, but in a 30-year career in the Navy, my father was retired as the leader of the Navy band in Washington, D.C. So he's a musician. He had a 30-year career in the Navy band. My parents had 38 household moves in 30 years.
Wow, yeah.
So it was intense. So I'm one of three. I'm the middle child, which explains a lot. And when my brother and my sister and I ask each other how we answer the question, where are you from? We don't know how to answer the question. I didn't move to Pittsburgh until 2008, and that was to be a resident artist with Pittsburgh Opera.
So was that just coincidence that you ended up back in the town that you're kind of sort of technically from?
It was a big coincidence, and I remember having this really excited feeling. First of all, I had the most ridiculous audition for Pittsburgh Opera anybody could ever have. It was just the most absurd audition, period. First of all, Pittsburgh Opera hears 5 days of auditions, including a day of callbacks. So they hear 4 days of just the preliminary auditions and 1 day of callback, right? So I auditioned on a Wednesday, and at the time I was living in Baltimore, and I drove up to New York and did the preliminary audition, and I made it into the finals, which were on Friday, except I thought that they were on Saturday. So I went back to Baltimore.
Oh no.
And on Friday at about 11 o'clock, I received a phone call from a 412 number. So I was thinking it was family or something. So I pick up the phone, and it was Pittsburgh Opera saying you had missed your callback audition.
Oh my God, what a feeling!
Are you still planning on coming in to sing for us? And I was bartending at the time. I was in the middle of setting up the bar, and I had the phone in my hand, and just my stomach turned, and I think I probably went white, and I ran out of the restaurant that I was working in and yelled at my boss I gotta go, and I ran home. This is a true story. Threw a dress on, grabbed my music bag, got in my car, and drove to Manhattan. And I got to Jazz at Lincoln Center, which is where the auditions were that year. Got to Jazz at Lincoln Center to get to sing in the last 45-minute time slots that they had. I kind of burst into the door like a crazy woman, and they asked me to sing They asked me, for what I want or what they wanted to hear. I sang it. They asked for another aria. I sang it, and then walked out of the audition room, and then finally felt like I could relax. And finally felt like I could take a breath. And as soon as I did one of these things where I was like, oh, like this, and that at that point I looked down and realized that my dress was on inside out.
No, I cannot believe you. That is unreal.
So I looked down, my dress was on inside out, and I was like, okay, I'm sure makeup all over my face, and my hair was a mess because my hair's curly and it's always a mess.
Did anybody ever say anything about it?
Well, hilariously, I thought that possibly I got away with only me being the one that noticed all of the ridiculousness of that audition, except when I was accepted as a resident artist for Pittsburgh Opera, the very first Rising Stars concert. It was the first thing Christopher Hahn asked me about.
So you did become a resident artist here at Pittsburgh Opera. It
worked out, yes.
Really kind of, would you consider that your start, your first?
Oh, totally. I had done a few other smaller programs before, and not so smaller I was a young artist with Central City Opera in Colorado some years before I ended up in Pittsburgh, but I always kind of had this great feeling about Pittsburgh, and it probably was because of the lack of a home base myself. When my parents said that we were going to go home for the holidays, it always meant we were coming back to Pittsburgh. So I always did kind of feel like very homey, very at home, and very, safe in Pittsburgh. So when I auditioned for them, I was really excited to audition for them because I really wanted to come here, and then poof, here I am.
So then what happens? I imagine that there's no one clear-cut route to success in the opera business.
Certainly not. Everybody's path is completely different, and that's okay.
Right. So what did you do after the artist program here? What launched you?
Well, so the last couple of months of the last season of a resident artist's residency is like the most stressful and the most crazy, I would say. Even though it's 2 years of craziness as a resident artist, you're covering all these major roles, you're doing all of these smaller roles, you're also gigging on the side and singing in people's living rooms and this, that, and the other, and also trying to have your own life outside of that. That could be another added element to the stress. But the last couple of months of a residency like this, theoretically, you should be singing for agents. You should be trying to kind of put your foot out there, at least a toe out there in becoming, a real boy at that point. So it's kind of this rush to contact every agent you can contact, and every director you've worked with, and every conductor you've worked with, just to try to make these connections and make these ties to try to get opportunities for yourself.
So is an agent necessary?
Yes, yeah,
absolutely.
It certainly is. There are a handful of singers that don't have representation. I just think it's just harder. They're doing the connecting for you in a way, and they're helping you get these opportunities to sing for people that you would never have the opportunity to sing for regularly. But then there are these magic moments when that kind of happens on its own. But certainly, and right when I was leaving the Young Artist program here was when I signed with my agents, and it was also around that time that I was given my contract to make my debut at the Met.
Your director is Sir Thomas Allen, who is a gentleman of some note. How has it been working with him?
It has been incredibly thrilling working with him. He's an incredible colleague and just kind of an awesome person to be next to. He's brilliant, and he's fulfilling the role of not only singing the role of Don Alfonso, but he's also directing.
Right.
So he's kind of popping in and out of the scenes as needed to sing his lines as Don Alfonso, and then he'll pop out of the scene to kind of take a look, an overview on how everything is looking, and he'll just pop right into the scene again. And he knows the opera so well that he could just kind of do that, and it seems kind of very organic too. It's almost like you're not realizing that is actually what's happening, because it's just, you know, it's just a kind of it just flows very naturally. And I mean, he's really been supportive too, because you know, presenting my first Fiordiligi, it is a giant role, and there are a lot of words and there are a lot of notes, and he has been incredibly supportive in kind of helping to guide me through this role for the first time, in the opera for the first time, really.
So when it opens on November 7th, what are you most looking forward to about this production?
I am really looking forward to having to the fun that this cast is going to be having on the stage, because it is a comedy, but this cast is really phenomenal, and they're all really funny. So I think that by the time we get through, I mean, we're still in the staging process right now, but you can already tell that we're supposed to be we're supposed to be sisters, and, you know, best friends, and you know, all of the things that means. So I think I'm really looking forward to doing that, to establishing that, and just playing on stage as we should be. You know, I'm also looking forward to the Manhattans after.
Oh yeah, I'll see you there. Is there any current talent in pop music that wows you right now?
I am a huge Lady Gaga fan.
Yeah?
Yeah. I know, it was horrifying, because, you know, they're like, we would like to hear Glitter and Be Gay, and I said, really? And they said, well, you know, if you're not prepared to sing it. And I was like, oh, no.
Right, you can't back down.
No, I can sing it. You want to hear? And the whole time I'm like, da 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 da, like jazz hands and all.
Well, I think the last thing that we must acknowledge is the fly that has been in this room since we have started this interview.
I know, right? I was like waiting for it to land.
I know. I think the takeaway from this is it's a tough business.
Yes, it can be a tough business.